Before we do anything, let's not flame me for the brown on the end of my suspenders here and the black. I got it. I already know. Okay? Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and NBs, and thank you for tuning back into St. Andrew TV, a cure for your Monday blues. I am your host, Andrew, and today we are going over 5 tips, tricks, and lessons about none other than cowboy hat etiquette. Now, the list I have compiled really coincides with one another and kind of reinforces every other rule that you see. And I shortened it to 5 because if we went over every last little rule about hat etiquette, we would be here all day. So I kept it very brief and very informative. So let's get to it.
No one on the corner has a swagger like us. Hit me on my burner prepaid wireless. We pack and deliver like UPS trucks. Already gonna hell, just pumping that gas. All I wanna do is and ching and take your money. All I wanna do is and ching and take your money.
So the first thing on my list is the ribbon on the inside of the hat band. Looks a little bit something like this. So when you pick up an Old West style hat or a wide brim hat such as mine, the ribbon always goes to the back of your head. Now this may seem pretty standard for people who are well versed in the Western hats, but you would be very surprised with how many people that I've hat shopped with that don't know that the ribbon goes to the back, and they will consistently put on their hat backwards. And this is a good note also because if you have a hat like mine, which is very symmetrical, that ribbon does play a big key part on putting that hat on properly. And as you can see by my hat band, I put the strap in the back as well to remind me, even when looking at the top of the hat, that that ribbon is going to the back. The second one on the list is the take off your hat rule. This stems from medieval times where knights would actually remove their helmet and visor to identify themselves or as just a token of respect. This is where the removal of the hat derives from. It is common practice to remove your hat when walking indoors. Now, there are 2 variations when walking indoors. Your hat should always come off when you walk indoors. However, if it's an informal setting, you are allowed to put your hat back on, and if it's a formal setting, you are supposed to keep your hat off.
There it is! It's beautiful! Take your hat off, boy, that's a $1 bill!
That's why you see a bunch of Old West pictures of the patrons wearing the hats in a saloon and not a church. Keeping up with the theme of respect, it is also common practice to remove your hat when you are meeting someone new. This perfectly segues us into tip, trick, or lesson 3, how to handle your hat. This applies when you're placing the hat on your head or taking it off. Now, when placing your hat on your head or taking it off, traditionally, and I know that I'm going to get a lot of questions in the comments because I've read this too, but you are actually supposed to take it off by the crown. Believe me, I've read my fair share of articles saying that you should only handle the cowboy hat by the brim. But by doing this, removing it from the crown, like so, you never show your inside lining to the person that you are greeting, or when you walk into a crowded venue, you never show the lining. And that is the key. You don't want to show the lining to anyone. So when you remove the hat itself by the crown, it should be placed on a hat rack, or if there's not a hat rack available, it should be placed brim side up. This prevents the brim from flattening out, which is actually kind of funny because I set mine on flat surfaces to keep it flat. But for a traditional curved cowboy brim, you're going to want to set it on the table like so. I'd also like to point out that there is one place in particular that you should never set your hat, and that is on a bed. It is Western legend that if you set your hat on a bed, that it will bring evil into your home, causing bad luck. So try not to do that. Number 4, respectful hat gestures. I know that the one that comes to mind first is the tipping of the hat. like so. The tipping of one's hat towards another person was a sign of respect. Just a simple gesture goes a long way. But this leads us into another respectful hat gesture that a lot of you might not have heard of because it was new to me when I read about it. It is called doffing, and here is the definition and spelling of that word. Doffing is the act of removing or taking the hat off of one's head as a pleasantry, so to speak. And the same rule applies for tipping. It is a pleasantry. It can mean thank you, hello, or goodbye. And this is how you doff a hat. You can even add a little bow there if you're so apt to. Or that's a simple doff. And here we are at the last one, number 5. And this one's very important. Never touch another person's hat. Treat the hat as if it was an extension of the person who is wearing it. It is what we call in the business a no-no, and additionally, bad luck if you do so. Like this. This is disrespectful. This includes feeling that hat, grabbing that hat, wearing that hat, or, heaven forbid, knocking it off the person's head. Now, if you do want to open up that can of worms, just know this was your warning. Because the disrespect of one touching another's hat isn't just Western tradition. I guarantee if you go to a party, even in 2023, and you grab a person's hat, I don't think they're going to take too kindly to it.
Shouldn't touch another man's hat.
I ain't wearing no pistols.
Just know, this is your warning. And that concludes the 5 tips, tricks, and lessons about cowboy hat etiquette.
Now I just need to work on my table manners.
A big thank you to everyone who has made it this far into the video. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed today's video, or leave me a comment stating what you liked, or tell me what I should do next. Thank you for the constant support on this channel. It really does mean the world to me, and I do appreciate every last one of you. But for those of you who have come across this channel and you've yet to hit that subscribe button, think about doing so, because you're a daisy if you do.
You, why are you laughing?
I don't know. He was laughing.